for our committee meeting. My name is Khalid Bey. I'm the chairperson for the Committee for Economic Development, Downtown Metropolitan Planning. Also on this call, members of the Economic Development Committee, Councilor Pat Hogan, Councilor Ronnie White. I'm not sure if Councilor Carney is on yet. In addition, we have Councilor Allen, Councilor Paniagua, Council President Hudson, and from the administration, I believe we have, of course, Commissioner Collins. We have, I'm assuming that somebody from zoning is on here because we just received an item from zoning. I don't see anybody. I see Deputy Commissioner Jen Tiff. And so, Jessica Brandt.
Councilor Bay, I'll email her. Oh, Heather just joined.
There she is. And so we're now joined by the illustrious Director of Zoning, Heather Lemandola. We also have Mr. Frank Malfitano on here. So Heather, we're gonna start with your item if you're ready.
Me?
Heather. We'll start with Heather first. Zoning. Can't you hear me? We can see your patch. We just don't know if you're there. There she is. We're also joined by Councilor Driscoll. Seems that Heather is having some connection problems.
Yeah, Heather's unmuted, but there she is.
Welcome back. So, can you hear us okay, Heather? We can't hear you.
Can you not hear me?
We can now.
Great. I can.
She's muted now, Jim.
Yeah, Heather, I think you're having actually maybe a connection problem because you went blank and you had the.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yay. Okay. Hang on one second. I just have somebody on hold and I got to transfer them. Okay. Got it. So yes, we have this Plan Development District amendment for JMA where they are making 3 new parking lots and just switching some stuff around. But as a result, the Plan Development District plan needs to be amended, and that rests with the Common Council. We have a companion new business item for the actual construction of the parking lots, which was approved, and that's contingent upon this plan being approved. So that's really the gist of it. You already did approve overall JMA previously, so this is just an amendment to that.
Any questions from my colleagues on the committee?
I'm just wondering, is this just, so it's solely relating to the parking lots and there's no other changes being proposed at this time?
There's some landscaping and pedestrian walkway kind of site changes that will help make vehicular and pedestrian traffic flow better within this complex, if you will.
I see. And how do these changes come about? Was this as a result of some sort of review that happened?
They decided to change a previous proposal that they already had approved by the council and the planning commission. So they decided they needed more parking and wanted to make things flow a little bit better.
I see. Thank you.
Yes.
Councilman Hogan, you said you had no questions?
That's right, Councilor Bay.
Councilor Allen?
Yeah, sorry, I'll put it, but then my phone started ringing. Is this on the front side Or is this the parking lot on the back end side where Clinton Street is?
Let me share, because I believe I have that email right here. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, if I can share, oops, that, let's see. Share. Yeah, okay, if I can share this, I'll show you the overall plan. If it will let me, there we go. Okay. La, 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 la. Okay, so it's sideways, but the thing that what's outlined in red, if you kind of like tip your head to the left, the three parking areas are what's being proposed. So Tallman is on the right, I guess. Taylor is on the left, and South Salina is on the top. So that's kind of how it looks. Those gray areas are typically where the streets went through. Actually, those are probably the exact places where the streets went through. So they're not building anything on those where you approved an abandonment. But so lots of new landscaping, and those three parking lots are the main changes.
You know what, Councilor Allen, I believe, if I could, Heather, this is where the three parking lots are. This is where they demolished the one structure, right? I believe they told us about this. This is the structure we walked through. They said they were going to demolish because they needed more parking.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it now. So it is on the back end. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure if it was that little corner piece on Salina and Tallman.
Oh.
But I see it now.
Yeah, the corner piece, this triangular piece on Tallman and Salina, I think is all parking now. So
Yeah.
they really kind of enhanced this with these little circles here. That's all like new trees and landscaping. So I think that plan is going to improve the sight line at least, and make it definitely look better.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Bay. Thank you, Heather.
Yeah. Appreciate any other councilor with any questions? Going once, going twice. I'm okay with moving it onto the agenda. Councilor Hogan.
Yes, I am okay too, Counselor.
Appreciate it. Councilor White.
Yes, I'm okay with that.
All right. And again, I don't believe Carney is here, but we'll call that a yes. Appreciate it, Heather. Our next and last item, I believe we only have one more item. We have a guest here, Mr. Frank Malfitano, who has made an effort for a decent amount of time to promote what I think is an awesome project that not only has aesthetic appeal, but also I think speaks to our efforts toward diversity and just promoting what is my new word I'm going to share with you guys. You can use it if you want. Our human bouquet here in the city. Councilor Hogan, I don't know if you want to say anything just prior, or Councilor.
No, and you know, like we had talked about this before. Frank's a long time friend of mine and a relentless promoter of the city of Syracuse, and he's done a lot of wonderful things. And I had the pleasure of working with him for many years with the Parks Department. When Tom Young turned to me as mayor and said, "Pat, you do the operations and help Frank out pull off the Jazz Fest." So that's what happened, and he's got this great project. And I have sent a letter. Joe Driscoll and myself, Councilor Driscoll and myself, and you, Councilor Bay, have talked about this, and I'll be sending a letter for the agenda in 2 weeks that will ask for a resolution for the mayor to designate some money to support this project. And after that, I'll turn it back to you, Councilor Bay, and I'm sure we want to hear from Frank.
Absolutely. Councilor Driscoll, anything before we turn it over to Frank?
No, just, I think it's a great opportunity to, support public arts, support our local history, which I think we do a very poor job of singing our own story here in Syracuse. We have a lot of great stories to tell, and I think this is another great step towards boosting that civic pride, which has multiplier effects to everything else we do. So I want to thank Frank for all his work on this, and yourself, Councilor Bay and Councilor Hogan, for pulling the rope in the same direction on this.
I appreciate it. Mr. Malfitano, the floor is yours.
Well, good morning. Good morning. First of all, thank you for letting me join you this morning. I'm really excited to be here and talk about the project. For those of you that I haven't met, hello and happy St. Patrick's Day. Hello, John Kapanis. Good to see you, my old friend. This started as a conversation in Lemp Park, actually on the Syracuse side of things. It actually started when I started seeing these murals all over the country in the cities that I worked in, Washington, D.C., and New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, you know, and I thought, wow, what a great thing, Detroit. And it's been around for about 30 years, you know, but it's still kind of new to Syracuse, even though we have some great public art. I reached out to Pat, and he eventually reached out to Councilor Driscoll, and the three of us sat in Lemp Park dreaming big dreams. And here we are 8 or 9 months later, and this project has, I'm happy to say, become a reality. So our media campaign is rolling out. There were a couple of stories today that appeared on Syracuse.com. There'll be something coming up in the Post-Standard, something in the Stand, the Eagle newspaper group, etc. And we've been on all the television stations, and the response that we've had to this is tremendously enthusiastic. And I agree wholeheartedly with what Councilor Driscoll said. You know, Syracuse, despite its size, has really always been the little engine that could. And we've done things that medium-sized markets our size across the country have never done. And as I looked at our accomplishments in the fields of, I know we have a lot of issues and problems. You know, we're a very polarized nation right now and divided and beset with a terrible amount of ongoing racism and sexism and anti-Semitism, and we're seeing renewed waves of that. And, you know, I thought, what can we do to bring people together? Unfortunately, there won't be a Jazz Fest this summer because of COVID, or last summer, and a few other reasons. But that's something that always successfully brought people together for 35 years and made them feel good about their city and made them feel good about where they live and work and play. And I think that's incredibly important, that civic pride Councilor Driscoll talked about. And I know that your energies have been devoted to making Syracuse a cool city. I don't even know if they use that term anymore, but when you go to a city, the reasons you go to a city are to see public art, and you go to enjoy the cuisine, and you go to Funky Town. You know, I mean, it's like we want to experience everything that's great about a city. And the only way we can be great is to tell what we've done that is great. And I think that our history has been underrepresented. And I think we've done some amazing things that no one else can claim. And I thought it was time to do that. While I love all of the public art that's out there, I've seen enough canals for one lifetime. So I felt that, you know, it was time. I in another incarnation many years ago, when I was running the Landmark Theater and working with Pat on Jazz Fest downtown, I also created the Sammy Awards and the Walk of Stars Awards. My feeling is that Syracusans, notable Syracuse folks that have made an impact, are really our best assets. And we need to honor those folks, and we need to celebrate them, and we need to celebrate our city as we tell our story. Syracuse has a hell of a story to tell. So I think the murals are, I know they are a great way of telling it. And again, I get frustrated because I go to Philadelphia, I see John Coltrane. I go to Chicago, I see Muddy Waters. I go to New York, you know, I see Andy Warhol. But you know, as I look around Syracuse and I think about all the great social justice warriors that have come out of this community, who have achieved on and off the basketball court, I thought basketball was a good place to start. This is a basketball town. It's been a basketball town for a very long time. So we've established a fundraising campaign. We've rolled it out there. People have come on board immediately. We still have a ways to go. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. I hope that wasn't too long-winded, but I love this city. I love our history. I'm proud of our history. When we've done good things, I'm proud of it. And I think it's time we celebrated that and let people know. So there's a civic pride element to this, an economic development pride, a component, a tourism component. This works on a lot of levels, and the response we've gotten from the community is unbelievable. It's great. It's very encouraging.
Appreciate
so that's
it.
all I have to say. I'm happy to answer anybody's questions.
Appreciate it. Any chance we wouldn't happen to have Councilor Hogan or Driscoll a rendering that we could share, right? Just give it, any event that any of the other councilors haven't seen examples of what this could look like.
Counselor Bay, the visual of it is in that Syracuse.com article that was posted this morning. So I can try to pull it up real quick and share my screen if that helps.
Yeah, that'll help.
Okay.
And I think Frank sent everybody, all the counselors, not only he sent a letter and I think a visual too. Earlier last week, I believe.
It's 6 stories high, and it and it depicts 4 Syracuse individuals who have worked very hard and very bravely to advance the cause of social justice, racial justice, and have supported the Me Too movement and the Black Lives Matter movement. And those 4 individuals are Earl Lloyd, who was the first African-American to play in the NBA and the first African-American champion in the NBA. Okay. I have a big thing that says we're starting to share content. It also depicts the great Dolph Shays, who was Mr. Lloyd's teammate, who faced a lot of anti-Semitism in the 40s and the 50s around the league in the early days of the league. Was the NBA's first rock star and first Jewish American rock star before Sandy Koufax ever came on the scene. So there it is. And so that's Earl Lloyd in the upper left-hand corner and Dolph Shays in the lower right-hand corner. And above Dolph is the great Brianna Stewart, who's certainly arguably one of the greatest basketball players to ever come out of Syracuse. And she is a reigning 2-time world champion and a 2-time WNBA champion and finals MVP and 4-time collegiate champion and Olympian. And she's really an extraordinary human being. And on the bottom left is the first African-American scholarship player to play men's basketball at Syracuse University, the great Manny Breland, who led the team to its first NCAA tournament in 1957. Manny started playing for the university in 1953 when Jim Crow segregation was at its worst. He paved the way for people like Dave Bing and Carmelo Anthony and Pearl Washington. I can't imagine where Syracuse University basketball would be had it not been for the courage of Mr. Breland, who is still alive and still with us, and will be on
South Carolina Street.
He will be coming in for this dedication or unveiling when we do it, and as will Brianna Stewart, and the Shays family and the Lloyd family will also be there. That was one of the first steps. We got their consent, and they were all very enthusiastic and very honored.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Frank. Appreciate the explanation. Jen, thanks for sharing. Any of my colleagues on the committee or on the council have any questions?
I have a brief question, Councilor Bay. Do we know how long it'll take for this project to be complete?
Yes, it's going to take about 3 or 4 weeks because of the size. So the artist Jonas Never will be coming in and will be in residency for 3 or 4 weeks. We'll be able to meet with other local artists, locally based resident artists. We'll be able to do meets and greets, and there'll be some educational workshops as well. So if we want to get some school groups down here, want to learn a little bit more about our history, I think this will present an excellent opportunity. So he's very excited about that part of it. He's extremely excited about the project, and he's in great demand right now. So it was a real coup for us to land him.
You know, and Councilor Bay, I think we don't want to undervalue the economic impact of something like this, especially in, you know, we're in this COVID thing, but public art obviously is one of those things that we can you can enjoy and be social distance and everything. And with downtown gradually opening up again, something like this will draw a lot of people downtown. Also, Frank, maybe you can elaborate a little bit. You've been in contact with the NBA and some national media outlets too, right, Frank?
Well, actually, I'm meeting with the NBA tomorrow morning again. This will be my third meeting with the NBA, and they're very interested in this project and on a sponsorship level. So I'm excited about that meeting. But what we discussed is, you know, when national television coverage comes to the Dome to cover a game, they usually pan over to Dinosaur Barbecue, which is great. But they made it very clear to me that this is something they'll be focused on and featuring. I happened to watch the women's ACC basketball tournament the other day. Syracuse University was playing. It's in Greensboro, North Carolina. And at each station break and at the top and the end and the bottom of the broadcast, they featured the murals in Greensboro, South Carolina. And is it North Carolina or South Carolina? I get my Carolinas confused. They're like my Dakotas. I don't, but they went to 6 murals that were spectacular, oversized outdoor murals like this. So we're going to get a lot of national television coverage out of that. And I think that's a great thing.
All right, appreciate it. Our time is dwindling. One thing I want to say to add, to Councilor Hogan's point, I'm a big fan of public art. I think it adds to the character of the city. But I think maybe the most exciting thing for me is the fact that Manly Breland face is on there, and he's still walking up and down Salina Street. He's still somebody that you can touch, and if a person wanted to know about the history that Frank spoke about, here you have a person who's lived and become a legend in a lot of respects, not only as a basketball player, but as a community person. So that, to me, adds additional value to this type of project.
I just want to, if I might, Councilor Bay, I'd like to add just one thing. COVID was part of the reason this came to fruition, this idea came to fruition. We're hearing a lot of silence from the arts organizations, and we really don't know if there are going to be festivals or concerts or theater productions or anything or athletic competitions that we can attend. So I thought, what can we do that's free, accessible to everyone, that's inviting and welcoming and inclusive, that we could enjoy during COVID? And this is, public art is one of those things you can do that with. We can drive past this in a car and enjoy it. We can walk past it on foot and enjoy it. Hopefully it will be a beacon for future murals, and we'll see a number of these, but of course it all starts with the first mural, and it takes a village to raise a mural. So I want to thank you for being the villagers who sat around the campfire today. And I'm grateful to you for your time and your service.
Appreciate it, Frank. And so we are at 11:54. And Councilor Hogan, as you mentioned, we'll get that letter to the administration and make our appeal to them, and hope that the mayor's office sees the value, which I think they would, and what this means, could mean for the city aesthetically and otherwise. I'm hoping that, Commissioner Collins and Deputy Commissioner Tiff can help us sell the argument. No pressure. But with that being said, Councilor Green should be joining us in about 6 minutes. If there's nothing else, we'll close this meeting, and some of you will see again in about 6 minutes.
Councilor Bay, I just want to mention, I want to thank the city clerk for throwing that letter together as fast as he did. He's a professional, and also I'll work with him on the final letter to the administration, and of course inform you and the other members of the committee too, and the other councilors. So
Right. Appreciate it.
thank you very much. I will be Councilor Green is at a dentist appointment, so I'll be chairing that finance. He wanted me to chair the finance committee, so if that's okay with you, I'll go ahead and at noon.
You're the greatest.
Councilor Bay.
Let's go.
Thanks, Councilor Bay. Okay.
All right, so that ends our Economic Development Committee meeting, and Councilor Hogan will see you shortly.
Peace and love.